Okay, we're going to go ahead and get going. Thanks again for joining us. Today's webinar, we're going to be talking about the hidden gems within RedTeam Flex and RedTeam Go. So you'll see a little bit of each product today, and hopefully you can take away a few new things to help out with your workflows. What we'll be covering today, the first three items you see here are for RedTeam Flex, which is kind of our flagship platform. We'll talk about the differences here in just a moment. We're going to be going over vendor qualifications, which is a feature that not everyone uses to help with bid solicitations. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about custom checklists within RedTeam Flex, along with the scan locations option from your mobile app. And then we'll transition to RedTeam Go. We'll be talking about job schedule emails, digital lien releases, and setting required documents for your subcontractors. So who's presenting today? My name is Sarah Nyheisel. I'm our Senior Enablement Manager. You may know me as an implementation specialist over the past 4 years. I'm going to be presenting the RedTeam Flex portion today. And then we've got Eileen, who is our RedTeam Go implementation specialist. So if you've onboarded with RedTeam Go, you know Eileen for sure. And she'll be going over our hidden gems for RedTeam Go today. Before we get started, we always want to talk about different platforms, right? I always like to make sure everybody's in the right room. So RedTeam Flex, which we'll be going over first, is kind of our flagship platform, highly configurable, and it's designed to help our mid to enterprise level contractors manage their projects from start to finish. So you'll see a lot more configuration capability in Flex. It's really designed to be able to kind of tool workflows to the way your business needs. RedTeam Go is our much more easy to use kind of out of the box software designed to simplify, automate, and standardize your tasks for those who are looking to just kind of save some time and money and really implement some quick, efficient, easy workflows. So the first thing we're going to talk about today is in RedTeam Flex, we're going to talk about vendor qualifications. And I'm going to be bouncing back and forth today between the slide deck and our demo database over here, because I want to make sure I show you where these things are and how you can use them. Vendor qualifications is really the ability to create custom tags for your vendors, and it's supposed to help with bid solicitation. Now, not everybody sees that or uses that, right? Most of you are probably aware of vendor trades, which allows you to kind of build a list of the cost codes that your vendors can perform work under. But these qualifications are going to allow you to go a step further. Your system administrators can build an unlimited number of qualification types and those qualification tags underneath them. And then you go ahead and apply those to your vendor profiles. What that means is that when your project managers or your estimators are working on bid solicitation, they can quickly and efficiently create bid packages to invite bidders that are qualified to do the work that they need. So we're going to go take a quick look at that. This is our training database for RedTeam Flex. So you may see quite a bit of configuration in here that's not standard or default for your database, but I wanted to use this database today because it's going to have some good examples in here for you. So we're going to look at vendor qualifications here. This is in the configuration menu, right? So this is where your system administrators would set up vendor qualifications. The system doesn't come with any, it's an empty list. And we can come in and hit new to create a new qualification type anytime we'd like. Now that's locations, building types, the project size. These are all different examples, union or non-union, right? We can even list qualifications for certain customers. I had a client tell me that they did a lot of projects building the Five Guys restaurant franchises, and they wanted to create a subset of vendors who were pre-approved to work with that customer. So you create your type, such as location, and then you create qualifications underneath. You can see my regions here: Northeast, Northwest, Southeast, Southwest. So the sky's the limit here. You build your list as you see fit. You can always come in and edit these to change the name or inactivate them if you don't want to use them again. And then you can go to your vendor profiles once you've got those set up. And this doesn't have to be an administrator. This would be anybody else who's routinely working with vendor profiles and vendor contacts. We can come in to a vendor profile and we can edit the qualifications here. So here's the list. We can add new qualifications anytime we'd like. And that pairs well with trades, because now when I'm building a bid package, as I go to add bidders, I'm going to be able to specify which trades or qualifications I need and it's going to go ahead and give me a filtered list of those vendors who fit those qualifications. So it becomes very easy for me to say things like, I need someone who can do plumbing work in the Southwest region for Five Guys as a customer, right? Those qualifications are up to you. But I think that's really an easily missed piece that can aid in your bid package creation and your bid solicitation processes. So that's our first hidden gem. I probably forgot to say in the beginning here, if you have any questions as I go along, please feel free to drop those in the chat or the Q&A. We've got Jess on the line here, one of our implementation specialists, who's taken a look at the chat for us. And if she can't answer it for you in the chat, she'll make sure that we answer it for you live at the end here. So we're going to hop to our next one, which is custom checklists. This is another feature that I don't think gets used probably as widely as it could be. You may or may not be aware that you have the ability to build an unlimited number of customized checklists for your employees to fill out. Your system administrators can build those from scratch. There's a huge variety of formatting and answer options, which we're going to look at here. We've got project managers and field teams that can complete those. So once I build the template for a safety checklist or a closeout checklist, we can then complete those electronically via the mobile app. So your field teams can be filling out these custom checklists digitally as they walk the site. Those checklists can then be emailed to external parties if you need to communicate those results. And any deficiencies that we find in those checklists, we can convert those almost instantly to a punch safety warranty item and assign that for correction to one of our vendors, our subcontractors or suppliers or anybody else on the project team. So that's our custom checklist, right? We're going to go take a look at how we build those and an example. So again, we're going to go down to configuration. This starts with our system administrators. You'd need to talk to your system administrators, probably provide them some examples of the checklist that you and your teams need to see and use. And then they can come down here to requests for correction. Now, those requests for correction, that's our term for punch and safety and quality, warranty type items, right? You can create your own categories of requests for correction. They're kind of tied to these checklists. So to create a checklist, you first build out your types. Now, like I said, this is our training database. We have a lot of types in here. The 4 basic types that your database will start with is punch, safety, quality, and warranty. But you can build as many types as you want. You can have in-office checklists for your admin team or your finance team. You can have field checklists for your superintendents. You can build pre-construction or closeout checklists, anything you may need. And as you build a new type with the new icon, you'll give it a name and you'll indicate, should that be something? Should checklists of this type display in the online plan room? Because I want those requests for correction that come from them to be visible to external parties. Or should it display in the mobile app? And again, if this is, a type of checklist just for the finance team, they're probably not going to need it in the mobile app. And I would uncheck that box so that my field team is just seeing those items for superintendents and project managers. And my office team is seeing their checklists in the web version. So you can build out those types, have as many as you need. And then under each type, you can have an unlimited number of forms. So you can see I've got a list of forms here. I can come back and edit any of these forms with the pencil. If I've never used a form, I can come back and delete it with the trash can. Once I've used it, the trash can will gray out because, of course, we want to keep that historical data. So you would just come in and inactivate it at any point. You can come back and turn it off, inactivate. But what we can see here is that as we build a checklist, really only 2 things are required. We need a name and a checklist type. So you file it under one of those types that you built. You give it a name. Accessibility, if I leave this alone, it's going to be available for anyone on any project to fill out this checklist. But I can also make this accessible by company division to say, this is only a checklist used in my residential division, or it's only a checklist used in my commercial division. That's only if you're using company divisions. Down here, we go ahead and add sections and items under those sections. So we can add each section like site details and inspection details here. And we can add items underneath, right? Each of these questions is an item. And as we build an item, we have a ton of different response options. So we'd give it a title. We'd give it a narrative. The title is what you're going to see on the printable copy of the checklist. When did we complete this item? Narrative, please put in the date when you completed the item, right? We can get as detailed as we want. If we say fall protection in the title, we could then type a narrative as to what constitutes acceptable fall protection. We pick the section of the checklist it should fall under. We choose whether it's optional or required. If it is required, you're not going to be able to save a draft of the checklist until you've filled out that field. And that's key because I've actually seen some clients who mark every single item on a checklist as required. And the result is that their teams can't save it in the middle and come back to it later. They have to fill out every single item before they can save a draft. So I would save that required. Use it sparingly for items where you say, hey, I don't even want you to be able to start a draft until you complete that item, right? If they need to walk away from a checklist and come back routinely, you'll want those items to be optional. Now we've got two types of answers. Response is a yes, no, pass, fail, or done or not, right? If it's not that type of a question, you also have an outcome, which is check the boxes, check which of the following applies, enter the date it was completed, pick an option from the dropdown, rate it on a scale of 1 to 5, right? You've got numbers, paragraphs, or pick one of the following options. You can choose any of those outcomes. Even a paragraph here just says, hey, go ahead and type in some details as to what your answer is. Now you can have a response or an outcome or both. And you can go ahead and pick which one you need depending on the type of item. And each item can be answered differently. You can see here, we've got some paragraphs and dates up top for site details. We've got some yes, no, pass, fails down here. And then we've got some that are checkboxes or drop downs as well, right? Yes or no, do workers have a safe route to their place of work, right? If I say no, I could then type a paragraph as to why I marked a no. So we can build these out as we see fit. And if you're an admin building these out over time, you can be building it and leave it inactive until it's ready for use. The second you check this box and turn it on, it's now available. And I'm going to go ahead and show you where. You're going to see an item for checklists on the projects page of your mobile app. So that's very easy to find. But if we come to a project, we're going to find it in the progress tab. You can find it under the home icon right here, checklists, or you can find it under the progress tab. And you can go ahead and use the menu icon over on the left-hand side. Right there, we can go to manage checklists. Now, as I get to that page, it's very similar to the dialog tab or the buyout tab in that I'm going to hit new and I'm going to see a list of available forms. This is where I can go ahead and fill out any of my checklists. You're going to fill in the basic details up top, date, author, scope and phase of the project if desired, a description maybe of why you're filling it out or what your goal is. And then you can attach files such as photos or additional documents to support that inspection or whatever it may be. And then we can, sorry guys, I've got somebody at home with me today. So we're going to fill this out. You can see here, you've got the section title and the narrative for the section right there. You've got the item title and the narrative for the item. We can hover and get more detail. We've got the response and the outcome here. Once it's completed, we can go ahead and save it. And after we save it, it's going to stay as a draft. Now, the important piece here is that it can stay as a draft as long as you need it to. So if this is a weekly checklist, it can stay as a draft for a week. If this is a monthly checklist, it can stay as a draft for a month. If it's daily, obviously, I'm going to go ahead and commit it at the end of the day. And what I end up getting is a printable copy here that I can share with folks. So we can go ahead and open that up and you're going to see we get the title, our company logo is going to be up here and the project information. And then each of our items is here with the answers and outcomes. We're going to see a summary of how many items were answered, yes, no, or pass, fail. And then we can, after that's committed, email or print. And of course, as we email, we've got the ability to have those comments and discussion, just like any other document you send with Flex. So those are checklists. Now we're going to move on to that last item for Flex before I turn it over to Eileen, and that's just the scan location option. So hopefully you've noticed this option on your mobile app, or your superintendents have, that scan location button right there on the home screen of our mobile app. Not everybody knows what that's for, and I think it can be really, really useful in terms of managing tasks for your vendors on site. This is the ability to keep your request for correction organized and accessible by location within the worksite. So we can build, and this doesn't have to be administration, right? So this is one of those few things that you can build within the project as a PM, build locations within the worksite, building 1, building 2, unit 104, and track your request for correction by location. So I'm going to show you how to print those QR codes, build your locations, print those QR codes. And now your project managers and your superintendents can be walking the site. They can hit this scan location option, and they can go ahead and scan that QR code, see that list of requests for correction. And again, remember, request for correction is our term for punch, safety, warranty, any of those other items that you may need to assign to a vendor to correct. And we want to manage those because in RedTeam Flex, the vendor can't actually mark that item complete themselves. It's going to be your superintendent or your PM verifying that it's complete and marking it off on their mobile app around the site. So let's go look at that. That's another item that's within the Progress tab. And this is actually something that's not available in the home icon. So you're going to want to remember it's under the Progress tab. We hit the menu icon and we go to Manage Locations. Right here, you can see I've built out a lot of locations for this project, and I can build more anytime I'd like. Now you can build these as you go. When you're filling out daily progress reports, you may be familiar with these from the census entries, where you can build locations as you make census entries. You could also come here and build them. But anything you build during your daily progress reports shows up here as well. Now notice I can't delete them once I've assigned something to them. If I've assigned a census entry to that location, or if I've assigned a request for correction to that location, I can edit the title, but I cannot get rid of it. Next to any of these, I will have the ability to print out that QR code. Here's that building 1 restrooms. I click here, there's my QR code. And it's as simple as hitting the print button and hanging this up on the door to the building 1 restrooms. Now, my superintendent opens their mobile app, they scan this code, and they're going to be able to see all those requests for correction within that part of the worksite. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it over there to Eileen. Thanks again for your patience, guys. Like I said, we got a snow day on my end, so I apologize for a little background noise. But Eileen, I think you are good to go with RedTeam Flex if you want to go ahead and share your screen.
Awesome. All right. Hello, everyone. I'm Eileen, Senior Implementation Specialist for RedTeam Go. I have a few things to show you. We're going to start off first with our baseline schedule, okay? The baseline schedule is a really neat feature that you can use using RedTeam Go, where you can email basically a snapshot of your schedule to your project team members. So you can share your schedule with your owner, with your subcontractors, with your architects. And this option is great for those clients that aren't comfortable with using their RedTeam Go platform just yet, because this is just an email. They won't need to log into RedTeam Go to view the schedule. So I'm going to show this all of you. Let me get out of here and we'll get started. Okay, so right now, just to show you, if my subcontractors were to log in to RedTeam Go, this is their portal. Okay, from here they do have their schedules tab. If they were to go into here, into the schedules, locate the project, they'll only be able to see any files that I've uploaded. So I have created my schedule in my project, I've downloaded it to my computer, and then I've uploaded it. So you can see it shows uploaded schedules. It's just a file that they will need to click, and then they can view my schedule. Right? So this is using the RedTeam Go portal. Right? But what I'm going to show you is a neat way to email it out to them so they don't need to log into their RedTeam Go portal to view it. Ready? So I'm just going to get into RedTeam. Okay, so here is my schedule. I've created my project schedule, and I'm going to now add it as a baseline. Okay. Adding it as a baseline is basically taking a current screenshot of my schedule and saving it over here in baseline. So to do that, you're just going to select the Add as Baseline button, give it a name. So I'm going to say that this is my updated schedule for today and add. Okay. So now it's created it. To view the baseline, we're going to navigate over here to baselines now. Okay. So like I said, this is a screenshot, right? A capture of my current schedule when I said create my baseline. So you can see I've already uploaded one called 3/5/25, and then I have an updated one right over here. Okay. So you can save as many baselines as you want. It's a great way to compare and keep track of how work is going on site. But to share this baseline, you're going to come right over here and click this email baseline. Okay. Once you do that, we can come over here and add all of our project contacts if we want, or I can delete everyone and pick and choose who I want to send this to. Okay. This baseline that I'm emailing them, this is not something like I mentioned already, they will not need to log into RedTeam Go. They're going to receive an email with a magic link. I call it a magic link because they will click that link and it will bring them directly to the schedule. Okay, so I'm just going to send this right now to my owner and one of my subcontractors. Okay, this is my subject. I can change this if I need to. And here's the body of my email. And there's that magic link. So if you want to edit the body of this email, whatever you do, just make sure you don't delete that link. Okay. When you're ready to email this out, you'll just select send. And now my email has been sent. Okay. If I choose to make any changes to my schedule, let's say I return to my schedule after I've emailed out this baseline and I speak to one of my subcontractors and it turns out that they're going to be on site a little bit longer. So I make a change to my schedule. I've made this change. I've extended acoustical ceilings, it's pushed out flooring, painting, and so on. This does not update on the baseline. My subcontractor and my owner that I just emailed this baseline to, they will not see this update unless I choose to add it as a baseline again and then send it out to them. Okay. All right, so let me show you that email. Refresh. Okay, here we go. So here's that email. You can show that it see that it does show that it comes from me. Now the email that it's coming from is a ghost email, but it still shouldn't go into their spam box. It'll show that it's coming from me, and then they're just going to click this link. Here you go, and it brings them to a view of the schedule, but they don't see that I extended acoustical ceiling. They only see that snapshot of what I've created. Okay. Now, they do have the ability to come over here and print this. Okay. So if they select print, they'll select their print format and then they'll select their type. So everyone knows you can print this as a Gantt schedule, but they also have the ability to change this to a calendar format. When changing it to a calendar format, they can then choose to pick how many weeks they want to look. So if they want to create their very own 3-week look ahead, they can do that. Choose to put it on a single page, and they can control from where they're printing their schedule from. So it's starting it on 3/2, but if they want to look ahead, they can change it to 3/9 and print. Okay. These are controls that they won't have if we're only uploading a file of the schedule in RedTeam Go for them. So that's how we email our baseline. I think it's a pretty cool feature that we have. Like I said, it comes in handy for the clients that don't want to have to log into RedTeam Go. You just send them this email and then they get that link. Okay. Next topic is our digital lien releases. Okay. So to go over this, I'm just going to navigate right back over into RedTeam Go, and I'm going to show you the different settings that we have. So if you navigate over to accounting, then you come over to your notary options. RedTeam has the ability for you to select, let's say your company doesn't require subcontractor lien releases. This is a new feature that we rolled out. You can check this option, and now whenever a subcontractor is entering their invoice or if you enter the invoice for them, Red Team won't bother with generating that lien waiver. Okay. Now you have the options as well to select that you want to use a scanned hand-signed notary. So that's where, let's say, you need a wet signature depending on the state that you're in. So if you do select this, what will occur is your subcontractor will be able to enter their invoice into RedTeam Go. However, your accountant will need to approve the invoice and then generate the lien waiver to send out to them. Okay. But we have this awesome little tool right here that's called Use Digitally Notarized Sublien Releases. So I would check with your state, see what your state allows. If your state does not require a wet signature and it will allow for digitally signed sublien releases, you can select this. This feature will allow your subcontractors to enter their invoice, and right at the entering of their invoice, RedTeam will generate the lien waiver for them. They'll sign it electronically. They won't need a DocuSign account. RedTeam will apply their signature and send that out to the accountant, who can then sign and approve it as well. So these are our three options. I'm going to actually show you what that looks like if you haven't seen it for yourself. I think it's always helpful to see what your subcontractors do and how easy it is for them to use the RedTeam Go portal. So if my subcontractor is going to submit a bill and I have it selected that I will use digitally notarized sublien releases, my subcontractor will navigate to billing, select their project, okay, and then right over here, they're going to select add bill. Okay, their previous invoice was 10%, so I'm going to change this to a 50% billing. And then we'll make sure that we're putting in the invoice number that they've supplied us with. Or actually, they're entering this, so I'm sorry. So they'll put in their sub invoice number here, and then they're going to put in their period, start, and end date. If they would like to upload a copy of their own invoice, they can select attach documents, and then right over here, they'll have the ability to upload it. But if not, all they need to do after they've entered in their invoice number, the period start and end date, and then put in the percentage of their billing, they're just going to select submit bill. They will then say, I agree, and RedTeam will generate their lien release. Okay. Then all they need to do is select I agree again, and RedTeam is going to apply their signature right there. Okay. So I will then, within my RedTeam Go platform, as the accountant, receive an email that my subcontractor has submitted a bill. Okay. I will come over to my billing. I'm going to see this bill's right here waiting for me. Okay, so I can click right into it and view it if I'd like. Okay, and I can accept and approve it right over here. Okay, I'm going to go back out. I'm going to do it this way because I do want to show, let's say, you have a whole batch of invoices you've gone through, you've made sure they're all good to go. You can select all and do a batch action of accepting them at once. Now, accepting is very important, especially for those that have a QuickBooks integration, because accepting it is what's going to push this over to QuickBooks for you as an invoice for you to pay. So we will select accept, and my bill has been accepted. Okay, so now my invoice has been pushed over to QuickBooks. You can see that when I'm over here looking in billing, it's no longer showing up because by default, RedTeam's only going to show me the bills that I need to approve. So if I want to take a look at that, I'm going to filter. Okay, say I want to look for approved and accepted invoices. Locate my invoice over here. Okay, and you can see you have this little feather icon, feather and paper. That means the lien waiver has been signed. So I can click into that. It's got their signature, my signature, and because I have myself as a notary in RedTeam, it's applied my notary stamp at the bottom. Okay. So let me actually show you how you can apply your own notary information if you in fact are a notary. That way, when you are approving the invoices, it'll apply your stamp. So if you navigate over to company settings, and please know that only those with administrative access can do this. So if you are a notary and you would like this applied to your profile, go to whoever is within your organization that has the administrative access and ask them to do this. So we're going to navigate over to company settings. We will locate our profile. Okay. And right over here, notary. You're going to check that notary box, and then you're just going to fill in that information. So you'll put in your expiration date, your ID number, the county, and the state. Okay. Make sure that you select from the drop down. Don't just put the abbreviation. Once you're done, you've added your notary information. So whenever you approve those invoices, RedTeam will apply your notary stamp to them. Okay. Again, just going to open this up. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to use the chat or the Q&A at the bottom. Okay. So our next hidden gem is setting the required documents with your subcontractors. Okay. Now, required documents are just that. They're documents that you require from your subs. This can be a document that you require prior to processing their first invoice. This can be a document that you require prior to them even signing their subcontract agreement. So there's two places where you can set these required documents. One, if you come over to administration, so you'll select your name and then come to administration, default settings, project document settings, then we're just going to scroll down and come to required documents. Setting your required documents here are going to set your required documents for all projects created from now and moving forward. RedTeam gives you the ability, though, to set required documents on a project-to-project basis if you'd like. Okay, so right now I have general liability and workers' compensation. You can see I have a checkbox over here. All right, so the check is under pre-billing. What that means is that I have general liability as a document that I require prior to my subcontractors submitting their very first bill to me. Okay. I also have workers' compensation, but you can see that there are no check marks here. That means that workers' compensation is a required document, but there are no rules set with it. It's just something that I need. They'll be able to sign their subcontract agreement and they'll be able to submit billing. I'll pay them. I just need it at any time during the project. So if I want to remove any of these, I can select delete right here, and that'll remove it from my list. If I want to add any additional required documents, I'm just going to select add required document. We're going to give it a name. We're going to attach a copy of the file that we need. And then here is where we are going to set the rule. Is it required prior to non-applicable, meaning it's just a required document? No rules. Is it required prior to signing a subcontract agreement, or is it required prior to sub-billing? Okay. So once you make your selection, you'll save it, and this will now, like I said, carry over on any new projects that I enter in RedTeam. Okay. So this is in my administration menu, but let's say this is a project-specific document because your certificate of insurance is going to be different from project to project, right? So I'm going to come over into my project documents folder within the project. So I'm going to make sure I'm in mystery spot. I'm going to come over to project documents, and then I'm going to scroll on over to my required documents. Okay, so RedTeam has what I already have in administration. Okay, so let's say I want to also add that certificate of insurance, right? I'm going to select add required documents, put in that COI right here, upload that sample doc so that my subcontractors will know what it is that I'm asking them for. Okay. If I have any comments, I'll leave it there. And then again, we have our rules. Okay. So I'm just going to say NA. It's a required document. And I will show you how easy it is for your subcontractors to upload these files as well. Okay. Now, let's say your subcontractors don't use RedTeam Go. Instead, they just email it to you. They're old-fashioned, right? They send you over the general liability. You're going to upload it for them right here. So again, where we are is within the project's documents under required documents, okay? So if I've got the general liability, I'm going to click right here. So you see how it says received 0 of 2? This is because I have 2 subcontract agreements that have been signed, but I haven't received any of the files. So if I click into here, I'm going to select import required documents and then select the subcontractor that sent it to me. Okay, so add me to sent me their general liability. I'm going to click to browse, and then I'm just going to upload that. And now my file is there, and then import. Okay, and you can see here it's updated 1 of 2. So that's how I'm going to upload it for my subs. Now for my subcontractor to upload it, very, very easy. They're just going to navigate into RedTeam Go, and they have their own tile card called required documents. So if they click into here, same thing, they're going to navigate over, find that project, and they'll see here, oh, okay, so I owe to them a COI, a general liability, and a workers' compensation. They can come and go as they please. If they only have one document right now, that's fine. So if they have that COI, they'll just select import and submit. They can drag and drop or click to browse, and they're going to upload that document right here and submit. I know it's a W-9. We'll pretend that it says COI. Okay, so my subcontractor has just uploaded this. So if I come into RedTeam and in real time, if I refresh, you can see it now says 1 of 2. So I can click into it, and here's that document. Okay. So those are your required documents. This is how the subcontractors are going to enter them. Now, if I did have this rule set for, let's say I had it set that they could not submit their first invoice to me. I showed you how they submit the invoice. The difference would be is that when they go to submit the invoice, RedTeam won't allow them to. That add bill button will not work. Instead, they're going to have a notice that's going to say, we have some required documents that we need from you. And it's a link that they can click, and it brings them right to it, and then they'll upload it. Okay. Well, I'm done. Those were my hidden gems. I want to thank everyone that has joined us. I look forward to seeing you all in our next webinar. We'll leave this open for just a couple of minutes. If you guys have any questions, feel free to ask now. All right, I guess we'll end this. Again, thank you everyone that's joined. Have a wonderful week, and we hopefully will see you again. Have a great one.